Have you ever wondered why so many ancient civilizations, separated by time, geography, and culture, all spoke of a hidden eye that could unlock higher wisdom, divine connection, and supernatural perception? What if I told you that this knowledge wasn't just myth or legend, but a scientific and spiritual truth, one that has been buried, suppressed, and deliberately hidden from humanity? Because the secret of the third eye is not just ancient mysticism, it is a key to unlocking the full power of your consciousness, and those who have understood this have left clues scattered throughout history, hidden in sacred texts, religious art, and architectural wonders. The Bible speaks of it when it says, "If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light." Hinduism encodes it within the Ajna chakra, the gateway to enlightenment. The Egyptians carved its likeness into the Eye of Horus, a symbol that eerily mirrors the structure of the human brain. Even the Vatican, the very heart of religious authority, openly displays a massive pine cone statue, an unmistakable reference to the pineal gland, the biological third eye hidden deep within your brain. But here's the real question. Why does no one talk about this today? Why is something that was revered by the ancients now dismissed as pseudoscience? Why is modern society designed to shut down this ability rather than awaken it? Could it be that those who seek control, the governments, the institutions, the elite, do not want you to access this power? Because if you did, you would no longer be easy to manipulate. You would no longer rely on external authority. You would no longer be blind to the deeper truths of existence. Right now, at this very moment, you have within you a dormant ability, a biological and spiritual gateway that can allow you to see beyond the illusions of this world. The pineal gland, the third eye, is more than just an ancient symbol. It is a real, physical organ that exists within every human being, and when properly activated, it holds the potential to alter your perception of reality itself. Ancient civilizations knew this. They designed their temples, their art, their religious rituals around it. They encoded its presence in their gods, their symbols, their sacred geometry. The Mayans, Egyptians, Hindus, Tibetans, Native American shamans, all of them spoke of this inner sight, this hidden power within. It was never meant to be a secret. It was meant to be a birthright. But modern life has done everything in its power to shut it down. The food you eat, the water you drink, the endless distractions of media and technology, they are all designed to keep you disconnected from this power. Fluoride, heavy metals, artificial lighting, electromagnetic interference, these are not coincidences, they are tools of suppression. Because the moment you begin to awaken, the moment your third eye begins to open, you start to see the world for what it truly is. You begin to recognize the programming, the manipulation, the illusion of separation. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. This power can never be fully taken from you, it can only be forgotten. And right now you have the ability to remember, to reactivate what was always meant to be yours. Because the third eye is not just a metaphor. It is a literal gateway, a biological and energetic portal to higher states of consciousness. And when it is awakened, everything changes. You begin to perceive beyond the physical. Your intuition sharpens. You feel a deeper connection to yourself, to others, to the universe itself. You start to receive insights, messages, revelations that seem to come from nowhere, yet they feel truer than anything you have ever known. You realize that your thoughts, your emotions, your very state of being are not just personal, they are creative forces shaping the world around you. This is why the ancients revered it. This is why mystics spent lifetimes in meditation, fasting, solitude, seeking to open this hidden eye. Because they understood that reality is not what it seems, that this world is but a fraction of what truly exists, that there is a deeper level of perception, a higher intelligence, a divine awareness that lies just beyond the veil, and the third eye is the key to unlocking it. But before you can activate this power, you must understand what has been done to suppress it. The modern world is filled with distractions, toxins, and intentional barriers that prevent people from ever reaching this state of awareness. The water supply is filled with fluoride, a chemical known to calcify the pineal gland, rendering it dormant. Processed foods, filled with chemicals and artificial additives, disrupt the body's natural rhythms. Endless screens, artificial light, digital noise, these are weapons against your higher self. They keep you locked in the lower frequencies of fear, doubt, and distraction, never allowing you to reach the clarity and inner peace that come when the third eye is fully open. And yet, despite all of this, the power is still there. It is still waiting, and it can be awakened. The process is not complicated, but it requires commitment. It requires detoxing your body, removing the chemicals and heavy metals that cloud your perception. It requires exposing yourself to natural light, allowing your body's internal rhythms to reset. It requires meditation, deep breathing, stillness, because the more silent you become, the louder the truth begins to speak. And it requires one thing above all else, the belief that you are capable of unlocking this power. Because the biggest trick ever played on humanity was convincing people that they are powerless, that they are small, that they are separate from the divine intelligence that created all things. But that is a lie. You were never small. You were never powerless. You were never separate. You were born with the ability to see beyond this world, to understand your true nature, to access wisdom far beyond what the physical senses can detect. And the third eye is your gateway to remembering. Every ancient civilization knew this. The Egyptians built temples to honor it. The Hindus designed their spiritual system around it. The Tibetans preserved teachings on how to activate it. And now, you are beginning to see why. Because this knowledge was never meant to be lost. It was meant to be passed down. It was meant to reach those who are ready to awaken. And if you are hearing this now, you are one of them. So the question is no longer if you can unlock this power. The question is, will you? Will you break free from the distractions, the conditioning, the fear that has kept you from your highest potential? Will you take back what was always yours? Will you reclaim the sight that was never meant to be lost? Because the moment you do, the world as you know it will never be the same again. From the moment you were born, your perception of reality was shaped by the world around you. You were taught to see through your physical eyes, to believe only what could be measured, explained, or proven. You were conditioned to trust authority over intuition, to accept limits that were never meant to exist. But deep down, beneath the noise, beneath the distractions, a part of you has always known there is more. A part of you has always felt that reality is not as solid, not as fixed, not as ordinary as you were led to believe, and that part of you is right. Because you were born with a hidden power, a built-in connection to something far greater than what the five senses can perceive. The ancients called it the third eye. Modern science calls it the pineal gland. But no matter what name it goes by, its function remains the same. It is the bridge between the physical and the spiritual, the key to unlocking higher awareness, the doorway to seeing beyond the illusion of separation. And the most powerful secret of all is that this ability is not rare. It is not reserved for a select few. It is not a gift given only to prophets, sages, or mystics. It is something you were born with, something that was meant to guide you through life, something that was deliberately suppressed so you would forget. Think about it. Why do all the major spiritual traditions, from Christianity to Hinduism to ancient Egyptian mystery schools, reference the idea of an inner sight, an awakened perception beyond ordinary vision? Why do religious texts speak of the single eye filling the body with light? Why do statues, sacred temples, and historical artifacts across the world depict the pine cone, the unmistakable symbol of the pineal gland, the physical representation of the third eye? The answer is simple, because those who came before us understood that the third eye was the key to spiritual awakening. They knew that when this eye is open, illusions fade, deception crumbles, fear dissolves, and suddenly reality is revealed in its true form, not as something happening to you, but as something you are actively creating. This is why secret societies have safeguarded this knowledge for centuries, why ancient rulers sought to keep it hidden from the masses, why institutions, both religious and governmental, have worked so hard to turn this truth into myth. Because a fully awakened being, someone who sees through the illusion, who understands their power, who recognizes that they are not separate from the divine, cannot be controlled. They do not seek validation from the outside world. They do not conform out of fear. They do not operate from a place of limitation, because they know that limitation is just a program, one that can be rewritten at any time. And right now you are beginning to rewrite yours, because once you understand what the third eye truly is, you will never again see yourself as small. You will never again believe that you are powerless. You will never again assume that you are simply a product of your environment, because you will realize that your environment is a reflection of you, and the more you awaken, the clearer this becomes. But before you can unlock this power, before you can fully activate the vision that was meant to guide you, you must first undo the conditioning that has kept it dormant, because modern life, whether intentional or not, has created an environment designed to suppress this ability. The foods you eat, the water you drink, the constant exposure to artificial light, electromagnetic frequencies, digital overstimulation, all of these things create a state of disconnection, a numbing effect that keeps the third eye asleep. Fluoride, one of the most common chemicals found in drinking water, is known to calcify the pineal gland, literally covering it in a layer of hardened material that prevents it from functioning properly. Processed foods, filled with synthetic additives, disrupt the body's natural rhythms. The constant stimulation of social media, news cycles, and mindless entertainment keeps people distracted, reactive, disconnected from their own inner guidance. And yet, despite all of this, the power within you has never been lost. It has only been waiting for you to remember. Because the truth is, the third eye cannot be taken from you, it can only be forgotten. And the moment you begin to reclaim it, the moment you make the conscious choice to activate it, everything begins to change. Your perception sharpens, your intuition strengthens. You start to feel things before they happen, to sense when someone is lying, to recognize synchronicities as signs rather than coincidences. You begin to notice patterns in life that were always there but that you were once blind to, and perhaps most importantly, you start to see yourself clearly, without the distortion of fear, doubt, or external influence. And this is where true freedom begins, because once you activate the third eye, you are no longer confined to the physical world alone. You begin to access information in ways that seem impossible to those who are still asleep. You experience deeper states of meditation, moments of clarity where answers come without effort. You begin to receive insights, messages, visions that seem to appear out of nowhere, yet feel more real than anything you have ever known. You no longer seek truth, you recognize that truth has always been within you. This is why those who have experienced third eye activation describe it as life-changing, because once the veil is lifted, once the illusion is seen for what it is, you cannot return to the way things were. You cannot go back to doubting your power. You cannot go back to believing in limitation. You cannot go back to being controlled by fear, because you have seen. And once you have seen, nothing will ever be the same again. But this awakening is not something that happens by chance. It requires intention. It requires a conscious effort to break free from the habits, the toxins, the distractions that have kept this ability dormant. It requires choosing clarity over comfort, choosing inner wisdom over external noise, choosing to open the door rather than ignore the knock. And the moment you do, the moment you commit to reclaiming this power, the universe begins to respond. The right knowledge, the right people, the right experiences start appearing, guiding you further along the path. Because the moment you take the first step, the path begins unfolding before you. And that path leads to something extraordinary. It leads to a life of deeper understanding, greater alignment, and a connection to something so vast, so infinite, that words cannot contain it. It leads to the realization that you were never lost, never separate, never powerless, that you have always been connected, that you have always had the ability to see beyond the surface, beyond the illusion, beyond the programming that has tried to keep you small. And now that ability is awakening, so the question is not whether the third eye is real. The question is not whether it can be activated. The question is, are you ready? Are you ready to step into the vision that has always been yours? Are you ready to clear away the distractions, the toxins, the fear that has kept you from your highest perception? Are you ready to reclaim what was always meant for you? Because the moment you say yes, the moment you commit to this awakening, your world will begin to change in ways you never imagined. And once that happens, once the third eye opens, once you truly see, you will never see the world the same way again. Everything around you is energy. The thoughts you think, the emotions you feel, the reality you perceive. It is all part of a greater field of consciousness, an interconnected web of vibration and frequency. But most people never realize this. They move through life believing only what they can see, hear, and touch, never knowing that a hidden sense, a deeper awareness has been lying dormant within them all along. The ancients knew this. They understood that beyond the five senses, beyond the physical world, there exists a sixth sense, a way of perceiving reality that is not bound by time or space. And at the center of this ability lies the third eye. But this eye does not see in the way your physical eyes do. It does not show you objects, people, or places. It shows you truth. It reveals the unseen forces shaping your reality. It allows you to perceive energy, to sense vibrations, to receive insights beyond logic and reason. It is the gateway to higher consciousness, the bridge between the material and the divine. And the moment it begins to awaken, the moment you start to see with the eye of the soul, everything changes. You begin to feel more connected, more in tune with the world around you. Your intuition sharpens. You walk into a room and immediately sense the energy, the unspoken emotions, the hidden truths. You start to recognize the synchronicities in your life, the patterns that were always there but that you were blind to before. You begin to understand that there are no coincidences, only signs, only messages, only a greater intelligence guiding you forward. This is why those who have activated their third eye speak of a profound shift in perception. They no longer experience life as random, chaotic, or meaningless. They begin to see the deeper order, the purpose, the intricate dance of energy that governs all things. And they begin to understand something that changes everything. They are not just observers of reality, they are creators of it. Because when your third eye is open, you see beyond the illusion of separation. You begin to grasp the true nature of existence, that everything is connected, that you are part of a larger consciousness, that your thoughts and emotions are not just personal experiences, but creative forces shaping the world around you. You start to realize that the limitations you once believed in were never real, that time is not linear, that reality is not fixed, that what you experience is a direct reflection of your inner state. And this is why the suppression of the third eye has been so intentional, because those who cannot see beyond the surface are easier to control. Those who do not realize they are creators are trapped in the illusion that they are powerless. Those who do not understand the truth of their own consciousness remain dependent on external authorities, on systems, on governments, on institutions that tell them what to believe, what to fear, what to accept as reality. But once you awaken, once you reclaim this lost ability, you can no longer be deceived. You begin to see through the programming, the false narratives, the distractions designed to keep you asleep. You begin to recognize that the world is not as it seems, that there is a hidden layer of truth beneath the surface, one that has been kept from the masses for centuries. And the deeper you go, the more you begin to realize just how much has been hidden from you. The food you eat, the water you drink, the air you breathe, it is all filled with chemicals and toxins designed to keep you disconnected. Fluoride, pesticides, artificial additives, these are not just pollutants. They are weapons against your consciousness, tools of suppression meant to cloud your perception, to weaken your spiritual sight. The constant exposure to artificial light, electromagnetic frequencies, digital noise, these are not just conveniences of modern life. They are distractions, barriers, obstacles, keeping you locked in a lower state of awareness. And yet, despite all of this, your third eye can still awaken. It cannot be destroyed. It cannot be erased. It can only be forgotten. And now is the time to remember. The path to activation begins with purification. It begins with cleansing your body, your mind, your energy field, removing the toxins, the distractions, the beliefs that have kept you blind. It begins with meditation, with stillness, with turning inward rather than outward, because the third eye does not open through force. It does not activate through effort. It awakens when you quiet the mind, when you create space for it to reveal what has been hidden all along. And when it does, you will begin to experience reality in a way you never have before. You will feel a deeper sense of presence, a profound connection to the moment. You will begin to perceive subtle energies, to sense vibrations that were once invisible to you. You will start to receive insights that do not come from logic or reason, but from something deeper, something beyond thought, something that simply knows. And as this perception grows, so too does your ability to consciously create your reality. Because when you truly see, when you truly understand how energy works, you realize that you are not separate from the forces that shape the world. You are not a victim of fate. You are a participant in the unfolding of creation itself. Your thoughts, your emotions, your intentions, these are not just private experiences. They are signals, they are blueprints, they are instructions that the universe responds to. And with this realization comes the greatest responsibility of all. Because once you understand that you are shaping your own reality, once you know that your third eye is a gateway to direct communion with the universe, you can no longer operate from ignorance. You must choose your thoughts wisely. You must guard your energy. You must live with intention, knowing that every choice, every action, every vibration you emit is a force of creation. This is what the ancient mystics understood. This is why they spent years in meditation, fasting, solitude, not because they sought escape from the world, but because they sought mastery over it. Because they knew that once the third eye was fully activated, once perception expanded beyond the ordinary, the world became a canvas upon which they could paint their own reality. And now you have the chance to do the same. You have the chance to break free from the illusions that have kept you blind. You have the chance to reclaim the vision that was always yours. You have the chance to step into a new way of being, one in which you no longer wait for life to change. You change, and life follows. Because once you awaken the third eye, once you see the world through the lens of higher consciousness, there is no going back. The illusions crumble. The distractions lose their grip, the fear, the doubt, the limitations that once held you down become nothing more than shadows of a world you no longer belong to. And in their place what remains is clarity, power, freedom, a vision so clear, so undeniable that you begin to move through life with a certainty you have never known before, a certainty that you are exactly where you are meant to be, that you are part of something greater, that you have always had the power to shape your own destiny. Because this is not just about opening your third eye. This is about remembering who you are. This is about reclaiming the truth that was hidden from you. This is about stepping into the fullness of your own divine nature. And now that journey has begun. The world you see with your physical eyes is only a fraction of what truly exists. Beyond the veil of ordinary perception, beyond the distractions, beyond the limitations you've been taught to accept, there is another layer of reality, a deeper, more profound truth that has been hidden in plain sight, and the key to accessing it has always been within you. The third eye is not just a symbol, not just an ancient idea whispered through time. It is a biological and spiritual gateway to higher knowledge, to expanded consciousness, to a reality where you are no longer confined by the illusions of separation and limitation. Once it opens, once the veil begins to lift, you no longer see the world the same way. You begin to notice things that were always there but were invisible to you before. The way energy moves through a room. The way certain people carry frequencies that uplift or drain. The way your thoughts seem to shape the events unfolding around you, as if reality itself is responding to your internal state. You start to recognize the synchronicities in your life. Those seemingly random coincidences that, in truth, have always been messages, signs guiding you, nudging you toward a higher path, waiting for you to notice them. And then something incredible happens. You realize that the entire universe has been speaking to you this whole time, in symbols, in patterns, in intuitive whispers that you once dismissed as random thoughts. You begin to trust your inner knowing, that subtle voice that doesn't speak in words, but in feelings, in sensations, in a deep, unshakable sense of truth. You stop needing validation from the outside world because you understand that all answers are already within you. This is why the ancients protected this knowledge. This is why they encoded it in their texts, their temples, their sacred symbols, because they understood that the key to enlightenment was not found in external doctrines, not in blind obedience to authority, but in direct experience, in personal awakening, in the activation of the divine sight within. They knew that when the third eye is open, you no longer need to be told what the truth is. You see it for yourself. And that kind of power, that kind of freedom is something the modern world has worked tirelessly to suppress. Because when you are disconnected from your true self, when you are trapped in the illusion of the five senses, when you believe only what can be measured and explained, you are easy to control. You are kept in a constant state of fear, confusion, and dependency. You are convinced that answers exist outside of you, that you must look to others for guidance, that you are separate from the divine intelligence that moves through all things. But that is the greatest lie ever told. Because you are not separate. You were never separate. The power that creates worlds, the intelligence that orchestrates the stars, the force that breathes life into all existence, that same force is within you. It is not outside of you. It is not something you must seek. It is something you must remember. And the third eye is the door to that remembrance. But unlocking it requires more than just knowledge. It requires more than just understanding the theory. It requires practice, commitment, a willingness to let go of the distractions, the toxins, the habits that have kept you numb to your own power. It requires stillness, reflection, a deep inner cleansing, not just of the body but of the mind, of the beliefs that have been programmed into you since birth. Because the truth is, the third eye is not closed, it is covered by layers of conditioning, of fear, of disbelief, covered by years of being told that what you cannot see does not exist, that the mystical, the intuitive, the unseen is nothing more than imagination. But imagination is not fiction. Imagination is perception. It is the ability to see beyond what is immediately visible. Every great visionary, every mystic, every artist, inventor, and genius throughout history, they did not just see with their physical eyes, they saw with the mind's eye. They trusted the visions that others could not yet perceive, and in doing so they changed the world. This is the power that has always been within you, the ability to see not just what is, but what can be, to perceive possibilities before they manifest, to receive knowledge, insights, and inspiration from something beyond logic, beyond what can be proven, beyond the narrow constraints of physical reality. And once you reclaim this power, once you make the conscious decision to awaken your third eye, reality itself begins to shift. You start to move differently. You start to think differently. You stop reacting to life and start creating it with intention, with awareness, with a knowing that you are the architect of your own existence. Because when the third eye is open, fear loses its grip. You see through the illusions, the deceptions, the falsehoods that once controlled you. You recognize that nothing outside of you has power over you unless you allow it. You realize that the world is not happening to you, it is responding to you. And with this realization comes the most profound transformation of all. You stop seeking answers. You stop waiting for permission. You stop looking for someone else to show you the way. Because you become the way. This is the path of true awakening, not following blindly, not accepting what you are told without question, but seeing for yourself, knowing for yourself, experiencing truth directly. And that is what those who came before us always intended. That is why the knowledge was never truly lost. It was hidden, yes, suppressed, yes, but never erased. It has always been here, waiting for those who are ready to receive it, waiting for you. And now that time has come. The distractions of the modern world will not disappear. The programming will not vanish overnight. The forces that wish to keep humanity asleep will not suddenly surrender. But once you awaken, once you see beyond the illusion, you are no longer bound by it. You move through the world with a different awareness. You no longer fall into the traps of fear and manipulation. You no longer consume mindlessly, act out of impulse, or live unconsciously. You become a conscious participant in your own evolution. And the more you step into this power, the more reality bends to reflect it. The more you hold the vision of your highest self, the more you begin to embody it. The more you live in alignment with your inner knowing, the more the universe responds, bringing opportunities, insights, and synchronicities that confirm what you already felt to be true. Because the third eye is not just about seeing, it is about knowing. Knowing who you are, knowing your purpose, knowing that you are not just a body moving through time, not just a mind processing information, but a soul experiencing itself through this human form. And when you live from that knowing, everything changes. The illusions fade, the distractions lose their power, the fear dissolves, and in their place, what remains is clarity, purpose, expansion. Because you are no longer asleep. You are no longer blind to your own divinity. You are no longer operating from the limits of the past. You are awake. You are aware. You see. And once you see, nothing will ever be the same again. The moment you begin to see beyond the veil, the moment you awaken to the reality that your perception is far greater than what your physical senses can detect, you step into a new level of existence. Everything that once felt uncertain, everything that once seemed random, begins to take shape with an underlying order, an unseen intelligence orchestrating events in ways you never noticed before. And this is not an illusion. It is not wishful thinking. It is the direct experience of what happens when the third eye begins to open. Because once it does, your awareness expands beyond the ordinary. You begin to pick up on energy, on frequencies, on the unspoken communication between all things. You walk into a room and feel the weight of the atmosphere before a single word is spoken. You meet someone new and sense their true nature, beyond their words, beyond their actions, beyond the mask they present to the world. You recognize patterns in your own life, cycles that have repeated themselves over and over, and you finally understand why. And as you start to connect the dots, you realize that none of this is by accident. Because perception is creation, and when you begin to perceive reality differently, reality itself shifts in response. You start to understand that the thoughts you think, the emotions you hold, the intentions you set are not just internal experiences. They are the blueprint for everything you encounter in the external world. When the third eye is open, you don't just navigate life, you influence it. You are no longer merely reacting to circumstances. You are aligning with the reality you wish to experience. And this is why ancient civilizations held this knowledge sacred. This is why they encoded it in their temples, their spiritual practices, their myths and allegories. They understood that an awakened being, a person whose inner sight was fully active, could step beyond limitation, beyond suffering, beyond the illusions of control that keep most people locked in a cycle of repetition. They knew that when the third eye was open, fear would lose its power, manipulation would lose its grip, because one who sees clearly cannot be deceived. And so the question is no longer whether you have this power, you do. The question is, what will you do with it? Will you allow yourself to fully step into this awareness? Will you take the necessary steps to remove the barriers that have kept this ability dormant? Will you choose to reclaim the vision that has always belonged to you? Because the third eye does not simply open by chance. It does not awaken because of passive curiosity. It is activated through intention, through practice, through a conscious decision to see beyond what has been presented to you as truth. It requires cleansing, not just of the body but of the mind, of the beliefs that have conditioned you to doubt yourself, to doubt your own inner knowing. It requires stillness, silence, the willingness to listen to something deeper than thought, deeper than logic, deeper than the endless noise of the world around you. And when you commit to this, when you dedicate yourself to truly seeing, the results will be undeniable. Your dreams will become more vivid, more meaningful, more filled with symbols that speak directly to your soul. Your intuition will sharpen, guiding you with a clarity that does not require explanation. You will begin to experience moments of profound knowing, times when an answer arises before a question is even asked, when a thought appears and is immediately confirmed by the world around you. And when these moments happen, you will realize that they were always there, that life has always been speaking to you. You just weren't listening. But now you are. And the deeper you go, the more you begin to understand that the world, as you once knew it, is only a fraction of what exists. That what you have been told is possible, what you have been conditioned to believe is real, is only one layer of a much greater reality. One that has been hidden in plain sight, waiting for you to wake up. This is why the third eye has been symbolized for centuries as a radiant, glowing eye at the center of the forehead. It is not just a metaphor. It is a representation of the expansion of perception, the ability to access dimensions beyond the ordinary, the awareness that you are more than just a physical being living a linear life. And the moment you allow yourself to fully embrace this, the moment you surrender to the realization that you are part of something much greater, your life begins to shift in ways that cannot be ignored. You will feel it in your body, a heightened sensitivity to energy, an awareness of the vibrational fields surrounding all things. You will feel it in your mind, a stillness, a clarity, a sense of deep inner knowing that overrides doubt and uncertainty. You will feel it in your heart, a connection to something vast, something intelligent, something infinitely loving that flows through all of creation. And once you feel it, once you have touched even a glimpse of this expanded reality, you will never be the same again. Because you will know without a shadow of a doubt that you are not separate from the divine, that you are not just a human being going through the motions of survival, that you are consciousness itself, having an experience through this body, through this mind, through this moment in time. And with that knowledge comes liberation. Because the greatest illusion of all, the illusion that has kept humanity asleep for centuries, is the belief that we are powerless, that we must wait for change to happen to us, that we are at the mercy of fate, of external forces, of a world that moves beyond our control. But when the third eye is open, when perception expands beyond the veil of illusion, you understand that this was never true, that the world is not happening to you, it is happening through you, that you are not just moving through reality, you are co-creating it in every moment. And when you truly grasp this, when you fully step into the awareness that you are an active participant in the unfolding of your life, you will start to make different choices. You will stop allowing fear to dictate your actions. You will stop playing small, stop waiting for permission, stop believing in limitations that only exist because you once accepted them as real. Because now you see, and once you see, nothing can ever be the same again. Everything you have ever been told about reality was designed to keep you looking outward, to keep you distracted, to keep you from realizing that the greatest truth, the deepest wisdom, the most powerful force you will ever know has been within you all along. The third eye is not some mystical concept reserved for spiritual masters. It is not a gift given only to a chosen few. It is a part of your very being, an ability that was meant to guide you, to awaken you, to reconnect you with the deeper layers of existence that have been hidden from view. And now that hidden knowledge is resurfacing. Now you are beginning to remember. But with this remembrance comes responsibility, because once you see beyond the illusion, once you understand that reality is not fixed, that life is responding to you in every moment, you can no longer live unconsciously. You can no longer pretend that you are powerless. You can no longer operate from the belief that you are just a passenger in your own story. You must step into the role you were always meant to play, the role of the creator, the one who directs, the one who shapes their experience with intention, with awareness, with the knowledge that everything is connected. Because the moment your third eye begins to awaken, the veil between the physical and the non-physical starts to thin. You begin to sense energy in ways you never did before. You start to feel the invisible currents that move through people, through places, through events. You recognize that your emotions are not just fleeting feelings, but powerful frequencies that shape the world around you. And as this understanding deepens, you start to take control in ways that most people never will. You stop reacting and start choosing. You stop seeking answers outside of yourself and start trusting the wisdom that arises from within. You stop allowing fear to dictate your choices and begin moving with the certainty that you are guided, that you are supported, that you are exactly where you need to be. And this is when reality begins to shift, not gradually, not in some distant future, instantly. Because when your third eye is open, when your perception is no longer confined to the narrow limitations of the physical senses, your entire being starts to vibrate at a different frequency. The world responds differently to you. Opportunities appear as if from nowhere. The right people, the right situations, the right messages seem to align effortlessly, not because of coincidence, not because of luck, but because you are no longer operating from a place of limitation. You are moving in sync with the greater intelligence that governs all things. And yet, most people will never reach this state, not because they can't, but because they won't, because they are too attached to the illusion, too comfortable in their conditioning, too afraid of what they might see if they allowed themselves to truly look beyond the surface. Because when the third eye is fully open, you cannot unsee what is revealed. You begin to recognize the falsehoods that have been passed down as truth. You begin to see through the programming that has kept humanity in a state of unconscious repetition. You begin to understand that much of what you once accepted as reality was nothing more than a carefully constructed illusion designed to keep you from knowing your true nature. And once you see this, you can never go back. This is why awakening is often uncomfortable at first, because everything you once believed starts to crumble. The structures, the narratives, the assumptions that shaped your world begin to feel hollow, untrue, incomplete. You start to question things you never questioned before. You start to feel a pull toward something deeper, something more real, something that cannot be explained by logic alone. And while this process can be unsettling, it is also the greatest liberation you will ever experience. Because for the first time in your life, you are no longer seeing through the eyes of conditioning. You are seeing through the eyes of truth. And truth is powerful. Truth dissolves fear. Truth frees you from the mental and emotional prisons that have kept you small. Truth reconnects you to the divine intelligence that has been guiding you all along, waiting for you to wake up, waiting for you to reclaim the vision that was always meant to be yours. But to truly embrace this, you must be willing to let go. Let go of the belief that you are separate. Let go of the idea that you are limited. Let go of the distractions that pull you away from yourself, the voices that tell you to doubt, the fear that convinces you to stay asleep. Because the world is full of noise, full of endless stimulation designed to keep you looking outward. Social media, television, the constant flood of information. It is all designed to fill the space that was meant for stillness, for silence, for listening to the voice within. And that is why awakening the third eye requires a choice, a conscious decision to reclaim your mind, to purify your perception, to step away from the distractions long enough to hear the whispers of truth that have been calling to you all along. It requires a willingness to be uncomfortable, to sit with the unknown, to trust in something beyond what the five senses can detect, because the greatest insights, the deepest wisdom, the most profound revelations do not come from books, from teachers, from external sources. They come from within. And when you begin to experience this firsthand, when you begin to access knowledge that feels ancient, timeless, beyond anything you have been taught, you will understand why the third eye has been revered throughout history. You will see why the ancient mystics dedicated their lives to its activation. You will know beyond any doubt that there is more to this life than what you were told. And this is where your journey truly begins. Because once you have glimpsed this deeper reality, once you have felt the shift within yourself, you will never again be satisfied with a life of limitation. You will no longer accept mediocrity, conformity, the false sense of security that comes from staying asleep. You will crave depth. You will seek out truth in everything you do. You will begin to live with a level of intention, of awareness, of clarity, and as you do, you will start to notice something incredible. The world itself will begin to reflect your inner transformation. The more you trust your intuition, the stronger it becomes. The more you follow the guidance of your higher self, the more effortless your path becomes. The more you embody the awareness of an awakened being, the more reality bends to support you, bringing experiences, opportunities, and insights that confirm what you already know to be true. Because this is the secret they never wanted you to discover. that reality is not something that happens to you, it is something that happens through you, that you are not just an observer but a participant, a creator, a force of consciousness capable of shaping your own destiny. And once you claim that power, once you step fully into the awareness of who you truly are, nothing will ever hold you back again. Because now you see. And once you see, once you awaken to the truth of your own divine nature, there is no going back. There is only forward, there is only expansion, there is only the infinite unfolding of consciousness revealing itself to you in ways you never imagined. And now, the journey is yours to continue. You have lived your entire life seeing the world through a limited lens, through the physical senses that have been trained to believe in separation, in struggle, in limitations. But the moment your third eye begins to awaken, the moment you truly see, everything shifts. You realize that the way you once viewed reality was incomplete. That what you thought was solid, what you thought was fixed, what you thought was unchangeable, was nothing more than a projection of your conditioned mind. And as this realization deepens, you begin to understand that reality is not something you experience, it is something you shape. Because the world outside of you is simply a reflection of the world within, and when your perception changes, when you begin to see with clarity, the entire structure of your life rearranges itself to match your new awareness. Opportunities that once seemed out of reach begin to appear effortlessly. People who resonate with your frequency enter your life as if guided by an unseen force. Moments of synchronicity become so frequent, so undeniable, that you can no longer dismiss them as coincidence. And at this point, something profound happens. You stop looking for proof. You stop needing validation. You stop questioning whether or not you are truly seeing. Because the evidence is everywhere. It's in the way your intuition speaks to you before something happens. It's in the way you feel an unseen presence guiding you toward the right path. It's in the way you just know things, without any logical explanation, but with a certainty that runs deeper than thought. This is the power of an awakened third eye. It is not about seeing visions. It is not about experiencing supernatural phenomena. It is about knowing. A deep, unwavering, unshakable knowing that transcends logic, that goes beyond what can be measured, that cannot be explained in words, but can be felt in every cell of your being. And once you access this level of perception, you will never again be able to accept the idea that you are small. You will never again believe that you are powerless. You will never again see yourself as separate from the universe, from creation, from the divine intelligence that moves through all things. Because now you know the truth. You know that the same force that moves the planets, that orchestrates the galaxies, that breathes life into existence itself, is the same force that moves through you. You are not separate from it. You are not beneath it. You are an extension of it. And that means that everything you have ever searched for, everything you have ever desired, everything you have ever believed was outside of you has always been within you. And this changes everything, because when you truly embrace this, when you no longer just understand it intellectually but embody it at the deepest level, your entire approach to life transforms. You no longer live in a state of waiting. You no longer hope for things to change. You no longer search for answers outside of yourself. You become the answer. You begin to trust your inner vision more than the opinions of others. You begin to rely on your intuition more than logic. You begin to act from a place of certainty because you no longer question whether you are on the right path. You know you are. And as this inner shift occurs, the world outside of you begins to reflect it. People respond to you differently. Doors open where there were once walls. Challenges dissolve before they even have a chance to manifest. Life moves in harmony with you, not because you are forcing it, not because you are controlling it, but because you are finally aligned with it. And this is why the ancients protected this knowledge. This is why they passed it down through symbols, through sacred texts, through hidden teachings that could only be understood by those who were ready to receive them. Because they knew that the moment you awaken to the truth of your own power, you step outside the limitations that have kept humanity asleep for generations. You free yourself from the invisible chains of fear, of doubt, of the illusion that you must struggle to survive. And when enough people reclaim this power, when enough people awaken their third eye, the world itself begins to change. Because an awakened mind cannot be controlled. A mind that sees clearly cannot be deceived. A consciousness that understands its own creative power does not live in fear. And when fear is no longer the dominant frequency of the collective, the systems built upon it begin to collapse. The illusions of scarcity, of division, of disempowerment lose their grip, and in their place a new reality begins to emerge. One where people no longer live as victims, but as conscious creators of their own destiny. And this is what is happening right now. More and more people are beginning to wake up. More and more people are beginning to sense that something is shifting, that the way they once perceived the world no longer feels real. More and more people are feeling called to go inward, to seek answers not from the outside world, but from within themselves. And this is not by accident. This is not random. This is a global awakening, a collective remembrance of the truth that was hidden for so long. And if you are hearing this now, if you are feeling the pull, if you are resonating with these words on a level deeper than thought, it is because you are part of this shift. It is because your soul chose to awaken in this lifetime. It is because you are meant to be a part of the unfolding of something far greater than yourself. So now the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you embrace it? Will you commit to deepening your awareness, to removing the blocks that have kept you from fully seeing? Will you take back the power that was always yours? Or will you hesitate? Will you retreat into the comfort of the familiar? Will you allow the distractions of the external world to pull you back into unconsciousness? Because, make no mistake, the choice is yours. No one can awaken for you, no one can activate your third eye but you. No one can force you to see if you are not willing to open your eyes. But if you are ready, if you are willing to fully step into your power, then everything you seek will begin to reveal itself to you. The guidance, the wisdom, the clarity, the experiences that confirm that this is not just theory, not just philosophy, but a fundamental truth of existence. And once that door is open, it will never close again. You will walk through life with a new level of awareness, a new sense of purpose, a new understanding of who you are and what you are capable of. You will no longer live as a passive participant in your own story. You will write your story. You will no longer search for meaning outside of yourself. You will become the meaning. Because this is what it means to be truly awake. This is what it means to see with the third eye. And now you are ready to see. The moment you choose to awaken, the moment you decide to see beyond the illusion, you become something different. You stop moving through life in the way you once did. You stop reacting. You stop doubting yourself. You stop seeking approval from a world that was designed to keep you asleep. Instead, you begin to walk with purpose. You begin to trust in a way that you never have before. You begin to feel a sense of clarity, of knowing, of deep inner connection that cannot be explained with words, only experienced. And the more you embrace this path, the more you allow yourself to see, the more life begins to respond to you in ways that seem almost magical. Answers come before you ask the questions. The right people appear at the perfect time. Obstacles that once seemed insurmountable begin to dissolve before they can even manifest. You no longer feel like a victim of fate, no longer like a passenger being carried by the currents of life. You become the current. You move with the energy of the universe itself, with the knowing that you are not separate from it, that it is within you, flowing through you, guiding you, always waiting for you to listen. And this is why the third eye has been revered throughout history, because it is not just about seeing visions, it is not about supernatural abilities, it is about awareness. Awareness of the deeper forces at work in your life. Awareness of the connection between thought and manifestation. Awareness of the hidden patterns shaping reality. Awareness that everything, absolutely everything, is energy, and that you are the one directing it. And when you understand this, you begin to move differently. You stop speaking from a place of fear. You stop making decisions based on old limitations. You stop allowing yourself to be ruled by emotions that are not aligned with your highest self. Instead, you learn to observe, to choose, to create. And as you do, as you fully step into this level of perception, you will notice something extraordinary. The world itself starts to shift to match your new state of being. Because when the third eye is open, you are no longer bound by the old rules. You are no longer tied to the limitations of the past. You no longer believe in the idea that life happens to you, that you are at the mercy of chance, of luck, of forces beyond your control. You understand that you are the force shaping your experience. You see how every thought, every emotion, every expectation is a signal, a vibration that is constantly communicating with the universe, constantly setting into motion the events that unfold before you. And the more you refine your energy, the more intentional you become in how you think, how you feel, how you act, the more effortlessly life begins to align with your highest vision. You start to experience synchronicities so precise, so undeniable that they can no longer be dismissed as coincidence. You start to feel guided, as if an unseen intelligence is clearing the path before you, opening doors, arranging circumstances, whispering insights that come to you exactly when you need them. Because this is what happens when the third eye is truly open. You stop questioning whether or not you are being guided. You know you are. You stop wondering if your thoughts are shaping reality. You see the evidence everywhere. You stop searching for external validation because you have learned to trust the most powerful source of guidance you will ever have, your own inner knowing. And with this trust comes freedom. The freedom to move through life without fear. The freedom to embrace change without resistance. The freedom to create without hesitation. You no longer live by the old patterns, by the rules that were designed to keep you in doubt, in limitation, in separation from your own power. You break free. You step outside the illusion. You claim your role as a conscious creator of your own reality. And when you do, the entire universe responds. People who once doubted you will begin to notice something different about you. They may not be able to explain it, but they will feel it. They will sense that you have changed, that you carry an energy that is unshakable, a presence that is undeniable. Some will be drawn to you, eager to understand what you have discovered. Others may resist, uncomfortable with the way you no longer operate within the old paradigms of fear and limitation. But none of this will affect you, because when you see clearly, when you understand your own power, nothing outside of you can dictate your state of being. And this is why this knowledge was hidden. This is why ancient civilizations protected it, encoded it in symbols, passed it down through secret teachings. Because they knew that an awakened being cannot be controlled. A being who sees beyond the illusion cannot be manipulated. A being who understands their own divinity cannot be ruled by fear. Now you are stepping into this knowing. Now you are remembering that you were never meant to be small, never meant to live in uncertainty, never meant to walk through life questioning your worth, your purpose, your power. Now you are reclaiming the vision that was always yours. Now you are stepping into a reality where you are no longer just surviving. You are creating, expanding, becoming, and the journey does not stop here. Because awakening is not a destination, it is not a final point, it is a continual unfolding, an endless deepening of awareness, an eternal expansion of consciousness. The more you see, the more there is to see. The more you understand, the deeper the mysteries become. The more you align with your highest self, the greater your potential for creation, for influence, for transformation. And this is the path you are now walking. Not the path of waiting, not the path of hesitation, not the path of seeking answers from the outside world, but the path of direct experience, of inner knowing, of mastery over your own reality. And as you continue forward, as you integrate this awareness into your daily life, you will begin to notice that everything flows differently. Your relationships will transform as you attract those who resonate with your energy and release those who no longer align with your path. Your opportunities will expand as you shift into a frequency of abundance, of confidence, of certainty in your ability to manifest what you desire. Your sense of self will evolve as you move beyond the old stories, beyond the conditioned limitations, beyond the beliefs that once held you back. Because once the third eye is open, once you truly see, the old reality no longer fits. The old ways of thinking, of doubting, of fearing, they become obsolete. They dissolve in the presence of truth, and in their place, what remains is clarity, purpose, power. You are no longer asleep. You are no longer waiting for someone to give you permission to live the life you were meant to live. You are no longer trapped in the illusion that you must struggle, that you must suffer, that you must settle for anything less than the extraordinary, because now you see. And once you see, nothing can ever be the same again. You have been conditioned to believe that awakening is rare, that only a select few will ever reach a state of higher awareness, that enlightenment is something distant, something reserved for monks, mystics, or sages who devote their entire lives to spiritual practice. But that is not the truth. The truth is, awakening is your birthright. The truth is, every human being is born with the potential to see beyond the illusion, to access a greater level of consciousness, to understand reality not just as something they experience, but as something they co-create. And now, you are beginning to remember. The third eye is not something outside of you. It is not something you must find. It is not something you must be given. It is already within you. It has always been within you. The only thing that has ever prevented you from using it fully was the belief that you could not. But now, that belief is dissolving. Now the barriers that once kept you from seeing clearly are falling away. Now the fog is lifting, and for the first time you are beginning to truly see. And once you see, you cannot go back. You cannot unsee the patterns that shape your reality. You cannot unsee the way energy moves through your life, responding to your thoughts, your emotions, your expectations. You cannot unsee the truth that everything you once thought was separate, yourself, others, the universe itself, was never separate at all. That everything is one, that everything is connected, that everything is part of a greater intelligence that has been guiding you, speaking to you, waiting for you to listen, and now you are listening. For the first time, you are no longer looking at life through the eyes of limitation. You are no longer trapped in the illusion that you must wait for change, that you must hope for things to improve, that you must struggle to create the life you desire, because now you understand that reality does not work that way. Reality does not respond to struggle. It does not respond to force. It does not respond to desperation. It responds to alignment. It responds to the frequency you hold, to the energy you emit, to the way you perceive yourself, your world, and your place within it. And now that your perception has shifted, now that you are stepping into the awareness of your true nature, reality itself is shifting with you. The opportunities that once seemed impossible are now unfolding effortlessly. The insights that once felt just beyond your reach are now flowing to you with ease. The guidance you once sought from the outside world is now rising from within you, as if it was always there, just waiting for you to be still enough to hear it. Because it was. This guidance was never missing. This wisdom was never lost. It was only hidden, buried beneath layers of conditioning, of distraction, of programming designed to keep you asleep. But now, you are waking up. Now you are reclaiming the power that was always yours. Now you are no longer moving through life as a passive observer. You are taking back the role of creator, of architect, of conscious participant in the unfolding of your own destiny. And with this comes an even greater realization that your awakening is not just about you, that your decision to see clearly, to live intentionally, to operate from a higher level of consciousness is not just for your own benefit. It is part of something much larger. Because as you shift, as you awaken, as you move through the world from this place of clarity, of peace, of power, you begin to affect everyone around you. You become a mirror, reflecting back to others the truth of who they are. You become a frequency holder, elevating the energy of every space you enter. You become a catalyst, awakening those who are ready, guiding those who have been searching, reminding those who have forgotten, not through words, not through preaching, but simply by being, simply by embodying the truth that you have discovered. Because this is how true change happens, not through force, not through persuasion, but through example, through the silent but undeniable presence of one who has awakened, one who no longer operates from fear, one who no longer seeks approval, one who no longer plays small, who no longer doubts, who no longer lives according to the limitations that were imposed upon them. And this is the path you are now walking, a path where fear no longer controls you, a path where uncertainty no longer paralyzes you, a path where you no longer seek outside yourself for answers, because you have learned to trust the infinite well of wisdom that flows through you. And as you walk this path, you will notice something incredible. You will notice that the things you used to chase now come to you effortlessly. You will notice that the struggles that once consumed you now seem insignificant, as if they belong to a different version of you, a version that no longer exists. You will notice that the people in your life begin to shift. Some will be drawn to your energy, others will fall away, and you will understand that this is not loss, but alignment. Because as your third eye continues to open, as your awareness continues to expand, you will no longer be able to entertain anything that is not in harmony with your highest self. The relationships that once drained you will dissolve. The habits that once numbed you will no longer appeal to you. The distractions that once kept you from seeing clearly will fade into the background, because they will no longer have power over you. And in their place, what will remain is truth. Truth that you are powerful beyond measure. Truth that you are not separate from the divine. Truth that you were never meant to live in doubt, in fear, in uncertainty. Truth that you were always meant to awaken, to expand, to become more than you ever thought possible. And now you have. Now you are stepping into the reality that was always meant for you. Now you are no longer looking at life through the limited perspective of the past. You are seeing with new eyes. You are perceiving with clarity. You are moving with purpose. And this is only the beginning, because the third eye is not just about a moment of awakening. It is about a continuous unfolding, a lifelong expansion, an ever-deepening journey into the truth of who you are. There will always be more to discover. There will always be deeper layers to explore. There will always be new levels of awareness waiting for you to reach them. And as you continue forward, as you embrace this new way of seeing, of being, of creating, you will find that life itself becomes your teacher. Every experience, every encounter, every challenge becomes an opportunity to refine your vision, to strengthen your alignment, to embody the truth of your awakened self more fully. Because this is what it means to truly see, to no longer be deceived by the illusions of separation, to no longer be confined by the limits of conditioned thinking, to no longer live as anything less than the powerful, infinite, divine being that you are. And now you see. And once you see, once you truly understand the depth of your own power, your own potential, your own ability to shape and influence reality itself, nothing will ever be the same again, because now you are free, free from doubt, free from fear, free from the illusion that you were ever anything less than infinite. And with that freedom comes the greatest gift of all, the gift of conscious creation, the gift of knowing that your life, your path, your destiny is yours to shape, the gift of understanding that you were never waiting for anything to change, because you are the change, and now the world is shifting in response to you.